All right, everybody, welcome to Judging Bouncing Balls. This is Jeremy. That's Toby with us. We are starting something completely new and completely different. We're actually going to start a podcast. So, those of you that have been listening to us on our broadcast of our daughter's soccer games, we decided, what the heck, why don't we try to do something a little bit different and do a podcast? So, we wanted to start this off. I'm going to turn it over to Toby to kind of tell you a little bit about what it is, and then we'll tell you a little bit about us. We'll kind of go from there. So, Toby, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. This can be great. No, our premise here is just to talk about the debacle that we consider youth sports today, and that fact of us, like many dads and moms, throw everything we have at it, praying to God our kids do something that we don't know what they're going to accomplish in life, but we're having fun doing it. So we're going to kind of touch on different aspects of everything from youth sports through high school and different hot topics that hopefully can garner some sort of conversation, and it's going to be done in a comical way. It's nothing serious, and so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, right? I was one of the things I wanted to make really clear. This is not by any means polished, nor is it something that is going to be really professional, right? We're going to try to have some fun with it. We're going to make some jokes. Don't take it too seriously. It's not meant to be that way. We're going to poke fun at some things that we see in the youth sports world, and we'd love to get feedback from you guys. So we're going to drop our email in here for the podcast, so you can shoot us some of your observations that you've seen. We'd love to hear feedback from you about some of the goods and bads of youth sports from your perspective as well.
Yeah, and in the name Judging Bouncing Balls comes from the conversations we've had on air watching our daughters play soccer and other teams that nobody can judge a ball. Like, I don't care who's kicking it, but it is the most craziest thing to watch a girl or boy run up and the ball misses them by 10 yards. I mean, it blows my mind. I heard a very interesting concept about that last night from one of the DOCs of our club. He says that in girls sports, they don't play catch. So they don't judge a ball. Right away, blaming the dad. Like, right away, we don't play catch with our daughters. So we're
Be better.
Right away, we're 0-1. So I thought it was interesting, but also not taking blame for not throwing a baseball at my kid's head.
Well, it's true. So, like, what you'll notice in the soccer game is they'll punt the ball from the box, right? And they'll punt it. It's up in the air. The girls are watching it. They're watching it. It'll come right at them. It'll bounce, and it's like they expect it to land, bounce, and just come right to them. And it just bounces right over their heads.
Yeah, like a flat soccer ball is supposed to just stop.
Goes right over their heads, and then they're chasing the ball, and it's like, you'd be like, okay, it happened once or twice. I've seen this happen at least 200 times, if not more.
Every player out there. And the first person to figure it out is the next Mia Hamm. I mean, it's going to be like the greatest player ever.
For sure. And so, one day we were in the middle of a broadcast, and we're like, they're not judging the bouncing balls. And we're like, that's got to be it, right?
That's it.
That's the title of the podcast, if we ever do one, and here we are.
Well, if you go back to, I was trying to put the pieces together. How we even got started on the broadcast was Des Moines, Iowa. The other parents that taped our games were gone at a basketball tournament, so they asked you to broadcast. I think you kind of took over to broadcast.
We're like, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? So, and then me and Joe, another dad from our team, went to Wahlburgers and we're enjoying beverages for half the afternoon and said it'd be a great time to talk. I mean, I got a lot to say, as do we all.
Right.
So it blossomed from there. I think the second game you had to stand on the sideline of the teams because of the sun.
Which was exciting. So it was a little nerve-wracking because you don't know much about our team, but Sean's an imposing figure as a coach. You don't want to do anything to make him upset. And we're standing over there literally like 10 feet from him. And I'm just talking really quietly into and the ball goes over here and it's over to Emily and Emily's going to kick it. Making sure you don't say anything so that he's upset. But yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah. And to back up, our daughters play together on a Wisconsin United 08. So soccer is different, right? We go 08, but we're U15, so we're under 15, but we're 08 age group. It took me a while to learn that. But two-time state champs, they've been very successful. So we come from a different level of soccer that is higher. We we travel farther. I think that's all that means. We
Yeah.
we don't play in our backyard. We play in somebody else's backyard 200 miles away. So
Right. And we get to pay
that's
more fees. That's the
we do get to pay more, which means you're better. That's the
right.
beauty of youth sports.
Right. The more your play level is determined by how much you pay.
At the end of the day, yes, it seems we sign up, we do rec for $35, right? Everybody gets a t-shirt, and it's great. You can throw in some ice cream. I love ice cream. Kids love I coached. I don't even know what
Yeah.
I'm doing. And then your kids progress, and next thing you know, you're in Indianapolis, and you're there for 4 days.
Right. Yeah, and that also kind of starts the beauty of our little podcast with our team is that you coached a little bit, I coached a little bit, but we like combined know basically nothing about soccer, which is really exciting. And so we are two morons just talking about soccer from our perspective, which we find enjoyable. And apparently other people find it enjoyable because apparently not many people know much about soccer.
Right. The feedback's been great. And I don't know if it's because we don't know what we're doing or nobody else knows what they're doing and they're joining us, which is the way
Right.
to go. I mean, my background was baseball and I played, I'm going to say collegiate rugby because I was in college
Nice.
at the time, but it was a club.
Nice.
It was a beer drinking sport. But overall, yeah, soccer, never knew anything about it. We used to call them lawn fairies and we used to beat them up in college. I don't know if we can say that
Ouch.
anymore, but that was the way it
Yeah.
is. Now you can't do that. But now completely into it, buying the expensive soccer ball, right? Instead of the cheap one. And yeah, it's a good time.
It is a good time. Yeah. And I got first introduced to soccer when I married my wife who played collegiate soccer. But again, so I know a little bit through osmosis from her, but I really, my kids I played college football. So I was more in tune with that sport. So really we come at it from a background, both of us that's, on outside looking in, but hey, we both love it. We've grown to, I think both of us would say we love it. We enjoy it, the sport very much, and we enjoy being around it. So here we are.
Right. And
Yeah.
I went back and thought about, when we were in youth sports, I mean, you'd ride your bike to the park. I mean, if your parents made a game, it was like a miracle. You had a glove. I mean, everybody shared the same bats because you had a bat bag, right? There was a helmet bag in baseball. And if your helmet didn't fit, you'd run out to second base. And you'd switch the helmet with the skinny kid because I was a chubby kid. And then the skinny kid took my helmet. And then that's how it was. Nowadays, I mean, you go to a tournament, even from soccer on to baseball, or even you're in the hockey world. It's specialized equipment. It is nothing left to bear anything resemblance of when we played.
Yeah. No, it's kind of fascinating, and actually, that's probably a good point to give our perspective on the sports that we watch. So, why don't you talk about your kids' sports? Your daughter plays. You have one daughter that plays tennis, and then soccer, volleyball. What else am I missing?
Nope. So I have an older daughter who's a junior in high school that plays tennis, and that's been her sport since she's been like in sixth grade. Tennis is a fantastic sport because that's another sport I don't know much about. I think I'm an athlete, so I could probably play, but she beats me up and down the court. So, but it's you can't cheer, you can't coach. You just sit there and you clap, and they don't tell you the score. Like it's if you don't pay attention, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's been great. They had a great season. They made it. They won their conference for the first time in school history since they switched conferences. So that's been great. And then Macy, went on the soccer team, and then she started volleyball this year. Never did an ounce of volleyball in her life, and she made the freshman team. They had 40 some kids try out. They had kept 14 or 16, so that was great. I loved it. That was even more cheering than soccer, which kind of hard to believe. No cowbells, but it was fun to sit in a gym. That was my first indoor sport. So that was kind of nice. I served popcorn. I could get a hot dog if I wanted. I got
Nice.
heaven,
It's a good deal.
right? So I did enjoy a little volleyball action. What about now? You've got a couple kids.
Yeah, so we have 4 kids. So the sports that my kids are involved in are basketball, cross country, hockey, soccer, volleyball, and track and field, which is basically running in my mind. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much spans it. The thing that's interesting about all of them is they all have, like you said, a little bit different atmosphere. I mean, the ones that like hockey is way different than it's really intense. I mean, talk about eating up almost every weekend from a club's perspective. Eats up every weekend. The equipment's expensive. It's expensive to play because they have to, all the ice time. And it's a commitment and a half. But I have one daughter that plays that, and I had a son that played it for a little bit, but now he's got so many other interests that he doesn't play hockey anymore, which is kind of we're okay with. But I do like hockey. It's a pretty neat sport. But yeah, the fans can get a little bit nutty. The only fan altercation I've ever seen in my history was the first year we played soccer or hockey, and we got to see our first one. So that's a story for when we talk about fans. But honestly, it's soccer's great, and yeah, I don't know a lot about volleyball yet. I'm not to where you are because my daughter just started playing club, and she's still a little bit younger. But looking forward to getting involved in that. I've seen a few matches, and they're a fun time. So
Yeah, and the problem I have is when did it go from school sports to club sports? Like, I'm still a traditionalist in the sense of I love community sports. I love the high school sports, and we'll talk down the road of where I feel that's going. But it's like if you're not playing club today, you can't make the high school team, or you can't make the eighth grade team for crying out loud. And
yeah,
it's kind of the problem with if you're not. That's part of the spending money game that we live in. If you're not throwing money at clubs, do they even look at you when it comes down to that freshman team? And that's the hard part.
yeah. And what's interesting about that too is they want you to play the club, but then at the same time, when you play the club, if it interferes with the high school, then it's like now we've got a problem.
Now,
So it's
yeah,
like
now,
it's a weird balancing act, that's for sure, and that's a whole nother topic that we'll get into. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things we want to explore is that balance between high school athletics and club, because both are important in their own right.
hypocrisy.
Yeah, a little bit of hypocrisy maybe, but on both sides, right? And that's not pointing
Oh,
fingers at one or the other. It's just the world we live in at this point. So
and at the
yeah,
end of the day, this podcast is all about. We complain about every aspect of sports, but we're dead set in it. I mean, there's not 1 ounce of me that is
for
like
sure.
I'm backing away because of if it's a financial thing or if it's a time. It is like, well, another day off of work, and it is what it is. I mean, my kid's got to get to Indy. I can't not go.
Right. So no, the message there is no matter how much you hear us complain, we do love it.
Hands down, hands down.
We
We just
love it.
didn't. Yeah, we're doing it in our own way, and that's why we do our broadcast. 'Cause I think we have more fun talking about everything, including soccer, instead of sitting in a chair
Yeah.
cheering on soccer.
Yeah, and we're both Packer fans right now. So the other side of that is we need something to channel our
Yeah,
energy because, good Lord, watching them every Sunday has been, not the most entertaining thing. So we need something in our lives right now.
I did outdoor work instead of watching the second half yesterday. I mean, literally worked outside, and that has never happened.
Yeah,
So
it's
bad.
been really tough. So yeah, we got to channel our energy somewhere else. But we're not going to talk too much about them. They may occasionally come into the broadcast just because of how frustrated we are. But generally speaking, we're going to try to stay away from professional sports unless really begged to by the audience,
Right. And there'll be a time we're hoping to take this live with some interaction with some fans.
which would be
And we've
cool.
got some friends of the program already that I think would be an asset to zooming or calling in at different aspects of different age groups, different levels. Like we've talked about, our kids play high level soccer. So you forget there's levels below that 90% of America plays in. So we look
Yeah.
at it from our end of, our goal is maybe to play nationally, which is a goal, but there are a lot of people out there that just want to play on Tuesdays,
Right.
instead of on Saturdays. So there's different aspects to these sports that we look at that'll be different views we hope to get, and their complaints too.
Right. Yeah, and especially the other sports that maybe we're not as akin to. There's going to be other things, areas of those sports that we don't know about, and so that's where I'm glad you bring up the interactions because it'd be really great to hear from you guys about topics that you're interested in us discussing, but also around youth athletics, but then also if you're interested in being on and discussing one of those topics, that would be great as well, because we would love to bring in alternate perspectives and maybe even people that we could, challenge or talk about, disagreements maybe that you have with us. I think that would be kind of fun to do just in a lighthearted manner, to get a different perspective and kind of educate all of us on all the different sports and youth sports that we have.
You could try to educate us. We're pretty educated.
Well, this is true. I mean, we both have degrees.
Well, let's not go there.
Hey, C's get degrees, right? Isn't that what they say?
I think it was 5 years of college, 3 schools. I don't know if not everybody can be a doctor. I mean, some of us had to do what I did.
Well, I mean, my undergrad took 6 years, so I mean,
it's not easy.
Yeah.
Did you stay at Stevens Point your whole life?
No, I actually transferred in. So I started my college at a private university. And so then if I would have known this when I transferred, I lost like 2/3 of my credits, so basically that money that I spent for that education was completely useless. And so then I transferred into UW Stevens Point, and they're like, oh, by the way, none of these count. You're going to have to retake all these classes. So I was like, yes, that's awesome. And it took me 6 years. So
I did
still cheaper than the private school, but.
Well, right. No, I did. I'll be honest. I enjoyed college a lot. I went for the social degree. I went day one. I said, I'm here to enjoy college. And I went the day 5.5 years later, or whatever it took, still said the same thing. I go back tomorrow, but I'm getting a dorm room. I am getting a house party. I am doing it in my way.
Nice. Well, and I'm hoping, as I've gotten to know Toby over the last year and a half, a lot of stories that need to come out. Toby's got some stories that you guys would love to hear, and those are going to come out throughout this podcast as well. I'm sure. Just if you've watched our broadcast, they kind of just pop in here and there, and a lot of good ones. So we'll definitely get to those as well, which is awesome.
They are topic orientated as we go.
We'll say you're well traveled. How about that? Is that?
Yes. I was open road kid. I just went. No disregard for human anything. It was more fun to caution into the wind and see what happened next.
Yes. All right. So what else do we need to know about this podcast for people that are just learning about us? I mean, we've gone about 17 minutes here. Is there anything else we need to share on what we're going to cover, what we're going to do?
I think, we did talk about kind of jumping into some hot topics. It is not a religious base. It is not political. We do not want any sort of damage done on that end. That is for different podcasts, whatever you want to do. We don't care. But at the end of the day, this is sports related. It's going to be a good time. It's not if we say something dumb and somebody calls in and yells at us, so be it. They're probably going to get a beating for yelling at us because it's an opinion. But that'll be the fun of it.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah, if you want to dive into religion or politics, go do that on your Facebook and lose friends there. We're not trying to do that here. This is going to be for fun, strictly for fun. So
no, 100%.
Yeah.
It was zero sponsors too. So I mean, if you're looking, we are interested. We can sell a brand second to none.
Yeah, and this is the other spot. We've joked about this, but inevitably, this may end up being something where there's an opportunity either to sponsor or we do Patreon and stuff down the road. We haven't launched any of that now just because it's still early. We're just having fun with this. But if it does become more time consuming, it may lead into something along those lines just because we want to be able to put out a good product. Right now, this is going to be really simple. But if we wanted to add some bells and whistles and bring some stuff in, there might be some cost to that. So that'd be cool if there were people that were willing to help with that. But we're definitely not doing this as a money-making venture at this point. We're just trying to have some fun. So
I will quit my job tomorrow.
That's right. If a big enough sponsor comes in, we're done.
But otherwise, this would be fun. What is our goal time-wise? I mean, are we going to shoot for once a week here to try to get moving? And
I think I just lost you a little bit there. That's a bummer.
You're froze.
But I think time-wise, what you're asking is we're looking at, maybe this ends up being a once in a week or once every other week. Um, but then it might pick up depending on the topics, and we're going to kind of look around and see what we can find. Maybe there's things that happen in the youth world that we really want to talk about. Yeah, and we'll jump on and maybe figure out what that looks like. So you just kind of cut out on me for a second, Toby. So I
Yeah.
just kind of started talking.
No,
But yeah, I thought
perfect.
maybe that once a week or once every other week, and we'll kind of play it by ear. If something really cool happens in the youth sports world, where like a coach like gets hit by a parent, then maybe we'll come in and talk about it. But for right now, yeah, we'll just play it by ear.
I'm hoping we don't have to manufacture problems because I don't need to spend the night in jail in Naperville, Illinois this weekend. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
37 degrees is a high.
Yeah, this is one of the cool parts about youth athletics is that they really don't care about the fans. And we are going to be sitting in brutal cold weather watching our girls play soccer. We were in Naperville. Was it Naperville that one time where it was literally snowing?
Schaumburg.
Schaumburg. I knew it was
It was
Illinois, and it's
snowing.
all the same.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's at the end of the day, it's all one. Never mind. It's just let's keep moving.
So we're going to be down there this weekend. That's our last league game. If we win it, we're in it, right?
So I've been back and forth with everybody. If we win it, we're going to regionals in St. Louis next summer for sure.
Okay.
If we tie, also considered we're the league champs. If we do take a loss, there's still a really good chance we move on, but I don't have any guarantees on anything. So,
Okay.
but
So yeah, it's exciting.
yeah, it is. And then the following week is Indianapolis, which I thought we'd probably run into some warm weather, but evidently that is not the case either.
Yeah. No.
And then we play at 8:30 at night, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's Friday, right? Or no, that's Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Friday is like at 5. We play 5 in Indianapolis on a Friday. Beautiful youth sports, right? I mean, don't worry about your job. Just take to the road
Yeah.
and get there as soon as you can.
Yeah, because obviously we have nothing else going on Friday. We only live 7 hours away. So, I mean, put it at 5 o'clock on Friday, right? I mean, what do we got going on?
Plus, you throw in Chicago. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a chance that you could get through there in 2 hours or 7. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be great. And nothing could happen that's going to be bad. I'm going to miss Friday, so we can't make it over there because we have our daughter has a hockey game, and I have this thing called work. It's really weird. They make you stay till 3 o'clock, and so I'm not going to be able to be there. Yeah.
Episode 4, there is no such thing as a two-sport athlete. We will get there to discuss that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's what's kind of coming up. Yeah, I think to your question, Toby, it's probably going to be once a week, maybe once every other week. We have, like I said, we have the stuff coming up. Maybe we get together and decide to do one this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do next Wednesday after kind of the weekend, and then we were hoping maybe to go live down in Indy, but we play at 8:30. That makes it 9:30. That's 8:30 here. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but there's maybe.
Yeah, it'd be fun to reflect on, what we're going down to in Indianapolis is a showcase, which basically means that there's going to be all these scouts there recruiting our kids to higher levels. But in reality, what it means is we had to pay more money for no one to watch but us.
And they tell you that at U15, so 40, nobody cares. Like, nobody pays attention. Like, I still think me and you show up with a clipboard and just walk around and talk to dads and be like, what university are you from? University of Kansas. Like, just wear a KU shirt.
Oh, my God.
And like a really tight, like I'll wear a tight one and be like, just, it's all we had in the athletic department. I'm talented soccer recruiting service for KU, and just see what kind of people oogle over us. That'd be great.
Dude, you've never told me this idea. That is gold, Jerry. Gold. Because can you
I've been
imagine?
thinking about doing that forever. Just taking notes and being like, what's your number? 14. All right, we'll keep an eye on her. What's your email? Oh, and just shoot them an email. Be like, KU wants you. And then disappear into the moonlight and be like, nah, just kidding.
That is an amazing idea. I'm gonna look at I'm gonna look for I have a Wisconsin Badgers polo, and I think that looks respectable enough. Like I could be a coach. That's a great idea.
If we get lanyards, khaki pants, polo from the university, and then a lanyard and a clipboard, and maybe a stopwatch. I mean, like, pretty much we're dialed in at that point. Just continue to hit the button after every kid touches the ball. But like too slow.
Are we flirting with anything illegal here?
Probably. Absolutely. I'll get his business cards, but we'll spell a word wrong, like university, and then I'll be like, oh, we're just joking.
Or you know what we should do? Business cards with like, and then on the backside, our podcast.
That would be genius.
No, that would be marketing.
Would be great. You want the answer to your question? Listen to the podcast.
Wow. That's a great idea. I love it.
I got a lot of them. You're going to be quite amazed. When I open this vault up, you're going to be like, what in the hell is he doing in there?
That's awesome. Okay, so that's coming up. These are things you have to look forward to.
So it's going to be exciting and fun, and we're going to enjoy the heck out of this thing.
All right, so as we land the plane here, I think we're going to wind this one down. Any parting words or thoughts that we would want to share before we end this?
Man, that's a good question. I think, it just comes down to judging bouncing balls and the way it reflects everything to do with youth sports. It's going to be a good time.
Yes, sir. I agree. Looking forward to it. Again, if you are looking to send us any thoughts or feedback, the email you can send it to is judgingbouncingballs@gmail.com. I'm going to put that underneath in some text so you can see that, but judgingbouncingballs@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Anything that you have, topics that you'd like to cover, or anything you find interesting about youth sports, that could be possibly our next discussion topic. We have a few that are lined up, but we'd love to hear from you.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. All right, Toby, I think that's it.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure.
All right, you hold on here for a second. This thing's got to upload. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.